progress reports that lied. The project board asks whether the project is on track. The project manager says yes and means it. The project is within the current baseline. What neither of them is saying is that the baseline was revised 3 months ago, the tolerances were never updated to match, and the number the board is approving against no longer connects to the commitment the project was built around. The next stage gets approved. The problem travels with it. Here is the problem. The numbers in the report are accurate, the actuals are correct, the milestones are correctly recorded. But the baseline those numbers are measured against no longer represents what the project is trying to achieve. So the report is technically right and strategically misleading at the same time. The board reads it and feels informed. They are not. And the decisions they make on the back of it reflect that gap. The same gap between reporting and reality plays out repeatedly. On a large ERP migration, 8 consecutive green reports were produced against a baseline that a scope change had made irrelevant. The board approved Stage 4 without knowing the actual position. On a financial services transformation, the program stayed within cost tolerance because 3 work streams had been quietly removed. The benefits those work streams were supposed to deliver were gone, but the report did not say so. On a public sector facilities program, the project reported on time against a plan that had been re-baselined without board sign-off. The original public commitment had already been missed. The root cause is consistent across all 3 cases. Progress was being reported against the plan, not against the objective. The reports were measuring whether the project was doing what it said it would do, not whether what it was doing still connected to why it existed. That distinction is precisely what the PRINCE Progress practice is built to maintain, not just tracking delivery, controlling whether continued delivery is still justified. 3 things drive this pattern. Reports track the plan rather than the objective, so as long as the project is doing what it said, the report is green, regardless of whether what it is doing still matters. Tolerance breaches get absorbed quietly. Teams re-baseline or cut scope rather than raise an exception, which removes the signal the board needs to intervene. And reporting is treated as a communication task rather than a control mechanism, designed to inform and reassure, not to enable a decision. So what does the progress practice actually mean on a real project? Not reporting what happened, giving the project board what it needs to exercise control. Every highlight report, every end-stage assessment, every exception report, each one exists to answer the same question. Does the board have enough information to make a confident decision about whether this project should continue? A report that tells the board everything is fine is not a management tool, it is a reassurance document. Real progress reporting gives the board 4 things: where the project is now, where it is forecast to end up, how much tolerance remains, and whether any of that changes the case for continuing. If a board member cannot make a genuine decision about the project from the report in front of them, the report has failed, regardless of how accurate the numbers are. Progress reporting needs to do 3 things in practice. First, report against the approved baseline and flag the moment it stops being valid, not after the next decision has been made on the back of it. Second, show tolerance status explicitly, not just a RAG rating, but how much tolerance remains and which direction it is moving. Third, connect every report to the business case. Is the project still on track to deliver what justified it? That question belongs in every report. The most common mistake in progress reporting is reporting backward rather than forward. Actuals are recorded, milestones hit are noted, but there is no forecast, no projection to completion, no indication of what the current trajectory means for the end of the project. The board receives a detailed record of where the project has been without the information it actually needs about where it is going. Progress reporting breaks down in 3 consistent ways. Highlight reports become a routine. Produce the same way every week, read the same way every week, with the signal lost inside the format. Exceptions get managed down rather than escalated. Teams absorb breaches quietly to avoid difficult conversations, and the board loses its ability to intervene at the right moment. And end-stage assessments become rubber stamps. The decision to continue is a formality rather than a genuine evaluation of whether continuing is justified. On the operating model transformation, the program director made 2 changes to the highlight report format. A tolerance trend line was added, showing not just current status, but direction of travel over the last 4 weeks. And a business case confirmation field was introduced. A single line from the executive confirming the benefits remained achievable. Both changes together shifted the project board from passive receivers of information to active participants in governance. The best progress report is not the longest one. It is the one that gives the board exactly what it needs to make a confident decision. Current position, forecast at completion, tolerance status and trend, business case confirmation, and a clear flag when any of those things has changed in a way that requires a decision, rather than an acknowledgement. Everything else is context. Those 4 things are control. 3 steps that make progress reporting a genuine control tool. First, add a tolerance trend to every highlight report. The direction of travel tells a different story from the current position alone. Second, include a business case confirmation at every end stage assessment. 1 line from the executive. It takes 30 seconds and changes the quality of the decision that follows. Third, raise exceptions as exceptions, not as quietly absorbed adjustments. The exception report is not a problem, it is the system working. On the ERP migration, the board's Stage 4 approval was made on the basis of a green report that was measuring the project against a baseline 3 months out of date. The decision committed a further $800,000 in delivery costs to a trajectory the project manager already knew could not reach the original objectives. The board was not deceived. They were not given the information they needed to decide differently. Poor progress reporting creates 3 lasting costs. Every stage approved on misleading information is a governance decision that cannot be recalled, the spend is committed, the direction is set, and the project continues on a trajectory the board did not knowingly authorize. The intervention window compresses every week. By the time accurate information arrives, the options for responding are narrower and more expensive than they would have been a month earlier. And the accountability gap that follows a project failure after consistently green reporting is one of the hardest things in project governance to resolve. Here is the reframe. The purpose of a progress report is not to maintain confidence, it is to enable control. A board that feels comfortable about a project it does not fully understand is not a governing board. It is an audience. Real progress reporting gives the board the information it needs to ask hard questions and the structure to make good decisions when the answers are difficult. The rule is this: report for control, not for comfort. Every report should be designed around the decision the project board needs to make, not around the impression the project manager wants to create. When reporting is honest about tolerance trends, business case status, and emerging threats, the board can govern effectively. When it is designed to reassure, the board governs in the dark. And projects governed in the dark tend to arrive at the same place. 3 things you can do this week. First, read your last highlight report as if you were a project board member seeing it for the first time. Could you determine the true health of the project from it, or only its position against the plan? Second, check whether your tolerance levels have been updated since the last baseline change. If they have not, your reporting is measuring the wrong thing. Third, check the tolerance trend. If it is moving toward a breach, the exception conversation needs to happen before the next report arrives. If your last progress report showed green and you hesitated before sending it, that hesitation is the signal. The report is not reflecting what you know about the project. The fix is not to change the status. It is to change the framework so that what you know is visible to the people who need it, before it becomes something nobody can ignore. 3 ways to go further. First, has a project you worked on ever reported green until it suddenly was not? Leave a comment and tell us what the reporting missed. Your experience helps other project managers build something more honest. Second, the Mimir PRINCE2 Practitioner course shows you how to design progress reporting that gives a project board real control, not just weekly reassurance. Third, this week, add 1 field to your next highlight report that was not there before. Tolerance trend, forecast at completion, or business case confirmation. One field. It changes everything the board can see. Share your experience.